bird feeder on my deck. And my dogs will hear it. So I got up and I went downstairs and I let them outside, turned on the lights and let them outside. And as I let them outside, I turned and there were 2 raccoons at the bird feeder. And I'm thinking, oh my God.
Hello, everybody.
2 wild animals. Okay. So anyway,
Welcome to Sunday service.
yes, they were. And so I quickly squirted this. And I got a picture.
We're so happy you're here.
But it wasn't until I examined the picture that back in the dark, there was enough of they were floating on. There were 3 raccoons on my deck that night.
I like it when people put those cameras on their figures and they get these funny little pictures of the animals that are like,
What if they have
examining the camera, doing all these funny things. Okay,
We're live. Good. Well, yes. So when we're done here, just, you can follow me. Yeah, usually it starts
Yes,
out
we'll do 11 talk, yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah. Do you bring the chime when we start? Are you the one who brings the chime?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, good. You're good. My grandson. Okay. Yes, they're both, my 10-year-old grandson and 7-year-old granddaughter. They seem completely receptive. And they play basketball, which is wonderful. And it's quite a couple. Yes, it's lovely.
They have these rules. How long do you meet? Take care. See you.
Thank you for thinking of this. I so appreciate it. That's great. Hi. How are you?
None of my so obviously no sunshine. So this is just a treat. Oh, I know, really? Oh. Of yes. Yeah, it was there for a long time. Good. I never knew if it was. I hadn't heard about it. I never been there. Didn't know it was in a wooded area.
Well, it's in a suburban area, but there's like a park.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice. About 400 minutes.
Are you still-
We're gonna be down there.
I see. So they had
It's a nice place.
You just like the chalice? You need it.
No, I'll do it all.
All right.
So she finishes.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. I'm Mary Ann O'Dowd, and I'm really grateful to be a part of this welcoming community and to be here today as your service leader. I extend a special greeting to those of you who may be with us for the first time, or those of you who may be returning after a little absence. We're glad you're here. And it's our custom at this time to ask if anybody who is new would like to introduce themselves. There's no pressure. Is there anybody new? Would you introduce yourself?
Ruth Budick, my husband Peter Budick, our daughter from Austin, Texas, Diane Ramirez, and been wanting to stop in. We're here finally.
Well, welcome. Thank you. Thank you. So please join us for coffee and conversation following the service. After about 15 minutes of fellowship, we'll meet back here for our talkback session with today's speaker, Reverend Jim Coakley. And Reverend Jim is a familiar face to many of us here and a longtime friend of UUFDC. And for those of you who don't know Reverend Jim, he serves a regional ministry that includes UU fellowships in Appleton, Fond du Lac, Green Bay, and Stevens Point. And when introducing Reverend Jim, which is now my second time of having the pleasure of doing that, I'd like to remind everyone of the theme of his ordination in 2016, which was growing in spirit to help heal the world, which was grounded in a strong belief that UUs have something wonderful to offer the world. And I really like that, and I think that's just a good reminder for all of us, right? We all have something wonderful to offer the world. He has spoken to our fellowship on many occasions, and there's a couple of new nuggets of news about Jim, being that we all know him, and I don't need to say he's from Rockford and go through the litany of details from his bio, but he bought a new house during COVID, and he's moved back to Appleton, and he's getting really used to his new neighborhood and living in a 1949 Sears Roebuck kit house, which, having lived in a kit house, lucky for Jim, it was renovated before he moved in. And then some other news for Jim. His daughter got married in 2021 in Mexico. So a lot of good personal milestones for Jim. So. And in a while, Reverend Jim will take us through a spiritual exercise around the wonder of our creation from mere stardust. David Bowie is not here to join us, unfortunately. So at this time, please turn off your cell phones. And then also there is a video today as part of Jim's talk. So if the folks who are sitting over here maybe want to move to have better access to the screen, I'm giving you the heads up. At this time, are there any brief announcements related to the fellowship that anybody would like to share? We have a mic that will go around.
If you are as outraged and angry as I am about the continuing mass shootings that are going on, 40 already, and we haven't even hit February. Thanks to Gloria Doherty, you may recognize these postcards. They've been used before for postcard writing, saying, please listen, and done in red to capture the attention. These are intended to be sent to our state and federal representatives. There are a lot of them out on the counter as you leave. If you're one of the early ones, they're stamped and addressed. So first serve, first arrive, first serve. So I encourage you to do this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jane Wise. Just a reminder that we're still looking for some people to join our Sunday service volunteer team. So I'll be in the gathering room after the service and ready to answer your questions and take your name and just form a line to the right.
Hi, I'm Mark Richards. The Wisconsin UU State Action Network has a couple of things. One is a postcard campaign for the upcoming election. In February, we have the primary, and in April is the election for state Supreme Court. Of course, in February, the primary is not a partisan primary, so it's the top 2 vote getters, not the top Democrat or the top Republican. So we have to vote in the primary. The second thing is that WUSON is sponsoring a book read. It is Winona LaDuke's book called The Water Protector. We are focusing on water protection this year as a WUSON project, and if you want to join, there is an initial meeting online this afternoon, and then the rest of it will be an online comment series so that you don't have to attend meetings. All you have to do is go online when you have read that particular part of the book and address the answer. So.
This is the morning for postcards. Indivisible Door County is also doing postcards to get out the vote for February 21 vote. And I guess I want to really emphasize the importance of this election because changing the conservative to a more progressive agenda on the court is paramount to dealing with our 1849 abortion law that is currently in place in Wisconsin. We do not allow abortions in Wisconsin. And so that, if that will come before the court in the coming time. And the second big issue that will definitely come before the state Supreme Court is gerrymandering. And we are the most gerrymandered state in the entire United States. So this election, February 21, is key. And if you want to write postcards, please see either Mike or I, and I should say, please vote on February 21. And then the final election will be in April. Thank you.
Sarah is right behind you, has an announcement.
It has been a long winter, and we are in the stretch of it. I want to take this time to remind you to take care of yourself. Seasonal depression is at its peak, and just remember to take care of yourself. I was feeling cabin fever yesterday, and it's just like, oh, a hot bath, a good book, something warm to drink. Hug yourself. So I just want to remind you guys that you're all important and worthy and awesome.
Okay, well, let's begin our service. I will light our chalice and share opening words from Reverend Joan Javier Duval in this spirit of searching. Out of depths unknown, the spark of light ignites and we are born. We enter a world, a universe not of our making. Our lives unfold in mystery and wonder. Questions abound for which there are no definite answers. And so we gather in community to seek one another. Assurance and recognition, compassion and strength. We gather in community to be reminded of what is most ultimate and what is most sacred. In this spirit of searching and of reverence, let us worship together this morning. Please join in singing our hymn, number 360. Here we have gathered in the great hymnal.
Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who seek here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, matter small and great. Be of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together, this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regrets, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us, as we give we gain. Sing now in friendship, this our heart's own song.
And please remain standing for our unison affirmation. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, in every land, by every tongue.
And now is the time in our service when we ask if anybody would like to briefly share joys that fill your heart or a concern that might weigh heavily. And then, of course, keep in mind the service is live and will be saved on the internet. So don't share anything about anybody that they haven't approved, and just be mindful. Anything anybody wants to share?
Good morning, Bruce Nelson for Gwen. I just am speaking for her today. She's out of town, but we have a couple of joys. One is that we're glad we're part of a community that has a concern for the climate and the crisis that we're in. And that has led to a project that the congregation has funded, and it's been approved on Tuesday night, and the Village of Ephraim approved our building permit to put solar panels system in. So congratulations to all of us.
Anyone else?
The end of January, the day before my birthday, I will be celebrating being a great grandmother for the first time. And so the day before my birthday, I want her to hold it in one more day. And it's going to be a little girl. We don't know how to do boys in our family. It's been all girls.
Great. Okay, well, now we will do have this morning's offering to support the good work of this fellowship. And offerings can also be made online at uufdc.org. Let's take a moment of silence. Let's set aside any worries or distractions and be more fully present in this moment so we may fully appreciate what we have before us right here, right now.
The thing is that every atom in your body came from a star that exploded. And the atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand. It really is the most poetic thing I know about physics. You're all stardust. You couldn't be here if stars hadn't exploded, because the elements, the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron, all the things that matter for evolution, weren't created at the beginning of time. They're created in the nuclear furnaces of stars, and the only way they can get into your body is if the stars were kind enough to explode. So forget Jesus. The stars died so that you could be here.
The knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up the human body, are traceable to the crucibles that cooked light elements into heavy elements in their core under extreme temperatures and pressures. These stars, the high mass ones among them, went unstable in their later years. They collapsed and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Guts made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and all the fundamental ingredients of life itself. These ingredients become part of gas clouds that condense, collapse, form the next generation of solar systems, stars, and planets. And those planets now have the ingredients for life itself. So when I look up at the night sky, and I know that yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect on that fact, I look up. Many people feel small because they're small and the universe is big, but I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. There's a level of connectivity. That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected. You want to feel relevant. You want to feel like you're a participant in the goings-on of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are, just by being alive.
Once we overcome our fear of being tiny, we find ourselves on the threshold of a vast and awesome universe that utterly dwarfs in time, in space, and in potential the tiny anthropocentric proscenium of our ancestors. We gaze across billions of light years of space to view the universe shortly after the Big Bang and plumb the fine structure of matter. We peer down into the core of our planet and the blazing interior of our star. We read the genetic language in which is written the diverse skills and propensities of every being on Earth. We uncover hidden chapters in the record of our own origins And with some anguish, better understand our nature and prospects. We invent and refine agriculture, without which almost all of us would starve to death. We create medicines and vaccines that save the lives of billions. We communicate at the speed of light and work around the Earth in an hour and a half. We have sent dozens of ships to more than 70 worlds and 4 spacecraft to the stars. We are right to rejoice in our accomplishments, to be proud that our species has been able to see so far, and to judge our merit, in part, by the very science that has so deflated our pretensions.
The surface of the Earth is the shore of the cosmic ocean. On this shore, we've learned most of what we know. Recently, we've waded a little way up, maybe ankle deep, and the water seems inviting. Some part of our being knows this is where we came from. We long to return. And we can, because the cosmos is also within us. We're made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself.
The wonder of creation. Forget Jesus, the stars died so you could be here. You caught it. When I first viewed that video and heard that quote, I'm like, oh, I have to turn this one into a sermon. I can't avoid that one. So the video was made by NASA, surprisingly. I think of them as like this scientific, geeky kind of organization. And the 3 speakers, you probably recognize at least one of the voices. They're Lawrence Krauss, who's an American theoretic physicist and cosmologist, but mostly the founder of the Arizona State University Interplanetary Initiative. Neil deGrasse Tyson, an American astrophysicist, author, and science communicator. I didn't realize that was a title. And then the one that you probably recognized the most famous was Carl Sagan at the end, and that was actually a tape from something before he died, because the others were more recent. Carl Sagan, obviously known to everybody, American astronomer, astrophysicist, author, and another science communicator. So where I found these videos, it's a part of Soul Matters. I'm not sure if that's familiar to any of you here, the kind of Soul Matters packets. Okay, so it's an offshoot from the UUA, but there's an organization that produces this whole Soul Matters programming. And my congregations, we use it extensively, not just for worship on Sunday morning, so it's our themes for each month, but I use it for the RE, so whatever we say on Sunday morning is linked to what the RE kids are learning. And then there's small groups. Over 50% of my congregations are involved in small groups, which we call chalice circles. We get a packet every month, and in there are spiritual exercises. And buried in those, and I lead one of them, so I have to do the work as well. And there was one that was a whole collection of, the theme for December was wonder. So it was all these things. It was a video every day that was brought wonder, and this was like video number 4. So I just grabbed onto it, and I said, I have to preach on this. So the question that the spiritual exercise is asking is, how does the wonder of creation speak to you spiritually? So that's what I'm going to be asking you today to ponder. And I broke it apart because if you listen to what they were talking about, we'll come back to it, there's really 2 questions in there. Does it make you feel small, or does it make you feel big? Okay? So we're going to do this spiritual exercise together, and I've kind of, you noticed in the order of service, I never do anything ordinary. First I have a video, and then today I decided this wanted to write itself into two separate parts. So part one is the wonder of feeling small. Then we'll have a beautiful music meditation, so you kind of settle into that and think about that part of it. And then we'll come back right away with part two, the wonder of feeling big. And we should be done in about 2 hours. I hope you're comfortable. No, I cut a lot of it out so that this will stay within the time allotted. I just don't want anybody to get nervous. So part one, the wonder of feeling small. Oh, we need to redo
You're
the camera.
tall.
Yes, I'm tall. I don't feel small usually. But the wonder of feeling small. So again, NASA put out this wonderful list. It's titled 7 Space Facts That Will Make You Feel Small. So I'm going to read them off to you. Number 1, our sun is one of at least 100 billion stars just in the Milky Way. And scientists calculate that there are at least 100 billion galaxies like the Milky Way in the observable universe, each one brimming with stars. There are more stars than grains of sand on all of Earth's beaches combined. So that's the big grandiose one. These kind of keep, willowing it down, but still makes you feel small. The second one is the Milky Way is a huge city of stars, so big that even at the speed of light, which is fast, it would take 100,000 years to travel across it at the speed of light. So get your head wrapped around that one. Number 3, roughly 70% of the universe is made of dark energy. That sounds very sinister. I have no idea what that is. But dark matter then makes up another 25%. And the rest, everything on Earth, everything ever observed with all of our instruments, all normal matter adds up to less than 5% of the universe. Number 4, now we're getting down to our neighborhood. If the sun were as tall as a typical front door, Earth would be the size of a nickel. Edwin Hubble discovered that the universe is expanding and that at one point in time, 14 billion years ago, give or take, the universe was all collected in just one tiny point in space. And finally, the last one, 4 American spacecraft are headed out of our solar system to what scientists call interstellar space. Voyager 1 is the furthest out, more than 11 billion miles from the sun at this point, and it was the first man-made object to leave our solar system. Voyager 2 is speeding along at more than 39,000 miles per hour, but will still take more than 296,000 years to pass Sirius, the brightest star in our night sky. I don't think any of us will be around to see that. So now how do you feel? Kind of small and insignificant? I mean, that seems to be what it's trying to do. I mean, when you try to get your head wrapped around the vastness of space and time, it's beyond what I can comprehend, probably what most of you can comprehend unless you're really into this stuff. And so I think it easily can lead to cynicism, nihilism, depression, what does it matter, I don't matter, those kinds of thoughts. But for me, that's not what I get out of it, strangely enough. For me, I find wonder and comfort in feeling small. And so I want to tell you why. When I get overwhelmed, I mean, you heard what I do. It's kind of busy, plus there's always personal life and things like that going on. When I get overwhelmed, problems just seem to crush in on me. There's so many things that want my attention and so many things that seem to be out of my control, but I still try to control them, that it just becomes too great. And when I was younger, I probably reacted, did something that I shouldn't have, screamed at somebody, that kind of thing. As I'm older, I've learned to mitigate that. And I realize those feelings inside of me. And I usually go to some place that I find is vast. Okay, it's not outer space. It could be, you have a lot of vast spaces up here in Darke County, just looking out at the water. My favorite one is High Cliff State Park, if any of you have ever been there. It's Lake Winnebago, which is a relatively long lake, kind of narrow, you can see the other side, but it's got a cliff on one side, hence the name. And I will go there and just lay on it on this particular time. It was probably 20 years ago. Lay on it, it was late spring, so it wasn't quite hot yet, but the sun was out. And just let things melt away. I kind of felt like I was absorbed into this vastness. It's solid bedrock in this cliff, and I know that it's part of the Niagara Escarpment, for example. And so I knew that where I'm laying ultimately connects out to Niagara Falls and probably beyond. So I kind of got this sense of space horizontally. And then I realized that I'm laying on something very solid, and below that there's more of the earth until you get to the liquid core in the center, which I heard on public radio this morning is tilting a little bit differently, by the way, in case you're worried. But I knew that there was all that to the center of the earth. And then you've got this vast open sky, and I know that, above the clouds and out to outer space. So I kind of had this real 3D kind of experience. And then I kind of turned it into a 4D experience because I realized that what I was laying on is right next to a trail, which is next to a road that today is cars going in and out of the park. That at some point in time was just a trail that the native peoples used to get by and around Lake Winnebago. And before that, it's probably deer and all kinds of mammals walked on it. And before that, we were at the bottom of a vast ocean that covered this part of the world. And so with all of that, I suddenly felt that I can live, I'm not that important, is really what I came to. I can live out my life without obsessing about these problems in the future. And frankly, the world will keep rotating regardless of what I decide to do. And it gave me this very strong sense of calm that I can carry on. And I just felt very, very comfortable in feeling that small. So that's my story, but don't take my word for it. There's some research out there, of course. The Smithsonian did a study called Feeling Small in the Face of Nature Makes People More Generous. It was by Danny Lewis, and it was published in August of 2015. Now, it starts with a little bit of a definition. They use the Oxford English Dictionary to say, we're going to talk about awe, not just wonder, but awe. And so they saw awe as this overarching umbrella of which wonder and fear sit underneath. And we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. This research was done at the University of California at Berkeley and at Irvine. And what they essentially did is the participants watched Planet Earth, the BBC series. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen it. Beautiful, stunning imagery of the planet. And then they gave them questions measuring their ethical behavior and generosity. So those who reported feeling a sense of awe, or that they could recall a time when they felt awe, it turns out they demonstrated more ethical behavior as opposed to someone who felt pride. Now, these weren't just pretty images of animals. It says that awe was defined partly by the fear one feels in the face of something larger than themselves. So whether it was watching the Amazon rainforest or a violent volcano erupt, participants were more willing to share resources with each other afterwards. They also saw some other benefits. I don't know how they tested for this, but they believe that it may also boost your immune system. It made you feel more creative. And then the reason I like this study is probably what I was tapping into that day out at High Cliff was it make you feel that you have more time to get things done. I thought that was kind of amazing. So maybe at the end of the day, feeling comfort comes from simply accepting destiny. David Eaton offers us thoughts on this in a responsive reading I would like to use to close out this first part of the sermon. So it's in your hymnal. It's number 557, called A Common Destiny by David Eaton, number 557. Marianne's going to come back up, and I'm going to lead you in the leader parts, and she's going to lead you in the responses. I'll wait a second. All living substance All substance of energy, being, and purpose are united and share the same destiny.
All people, those we love and those we know not of, are united and share the same destiny.
Birth to death, we share this unity with the sun, earth,
our brothers and sisters, strangers,
flowers of the field, snowflakes, volcanoes and moonbeams,
birth, life, death, unknown, known, unknown.
Our destiny, from known to unknown.
May we have the faith to accept this mystery and build upon its everlasting truth.
The wonder of feeling big. In my mind, and what I think I heard from our speakers on the video, the wonder of feeling big is very much a feeling of being connected to the vast universe. And each of them had part of their talk that very specifically mentions this. And so I'm going to read a quote from each of them so they can remember what it said. The first one. The amazing thing is that every atom in your body came from a star that exploded, and the atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right. When I look up at the night sky, and I know that yes, we are part of this universe, but perhaps more important than those facts is that the universe is in us. The second quote. I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. There's a level of connectivity. That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected, want to feel relevant, want to feel like you're a participant in the goings on of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are by just being alive. And the last one, some part of our being knows that this is where we came from. We've longed to return, and we can because the cosmos is also with us. We're made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. So if we think of ourselves as intricately connected with the cosmos and not apart from it, that's the wonder then of feeling big and feeling very, very connected. So as a part of our spiritual exercise together this morning, I'd like us to ponder what we think about a recent article, and I mean very recent, August of 2022. It was in Time, maybe some of you read it. It's titled, Maybe the Universe Thinks, Hear Me Out, by Sabina Hassenfelder. And Sabina Hassenfelder is a research fellow at the Frankfurt Institute of Advanced Studies in Germany. Now, Hassenfelder notes that galaxies are clumped together in clusters and these superclusters that are connected by, and this is in quotes, galactic filaments, which can be several 100 million light years long. So that's a long distance. So somehow there's these galactic filaments that span these vast distances. Now, she points that if you can use your imagination and think about this and pull way back and look at the cosmic web in its entirety, I'm sure you do this all the time, it looks an awful lot like a human brain. More specifically, she says, it looks like the connectome, the network of nerve connections in the human brain. Okay, this isn't, when I read this, I'm like, this isn't really a crazy imagination thing gone out of control. It has had serious study done by two Italians, Franco Vazza, an astrophysicist, and Alberto Filletti, a neuroscientist. And although the size of the universe and the human connectome are radically different, we can agree on that, they reported a remarkable similarity. So Hassenfelder suggests, and this is a quote, could it be then that the universe is a giant brain in which our galaxy is merely one neuron? Maybe we are witnessing its self-reflection while we pursue our own thoughts. End of quote. So the article then goes on to think about, okay, if the universe is thinking, our definition of a thought is in our brain, something flies from one neuron to the next and back and forth, and you got a thought, right? It's pretty quick because things tend to be kind of close in your head, right? So they were saying that if the speed of light is as fast as anything can travel, then trying to do something in the universe that resembles the speed of a thought is ridiculous. So then you have to jump to even more leap of faith in quantum theory of wormholes to be able to have energy travel across the cosmos in any amount of time we would consider a thought. So what this says is planetary objects don't have to be next to each other to be very connected because it happens at a quantum level. Her final point is, it can't be unproven and therefore remains a credible hypothesis. So I thought it was very interesting. I mean, this is Time magazine, okay? It wasn't one of, the grocery store tabloids that I'm looking at. Which leads me back to our connectedness to the universe. As I researched this sermon topic, and believe me, this could have gone on for hours and hours and hours, I found a number of resources that I ended up putting in a list on my computer called Being in Touch with the Universe in Mysterious Ways. It ended up being things like planetary cycles where they come in alignment with each other, energy fields, vibrations, crystals, cosmology, coincidence, and even psychic phenomenon. Now, obviously, these are way outside of my area of expertise, but they sound like an interesting sermon series sometime. But then something in my head kept clicking. Often in my life, I have had times where doors open that I wouldn't have expected because in seminary and becoming a minister was one of these, and I can tell you the story later. But things just keep happening. And I kept saying the phrase, jokingly, of course, the universe must be trying to tell me something. After I read this article, I'm like, maybe it's true, and maybe I'm responding back. So this gets into the mystery part of this spiritual exercise I've shared with you this morning. Not everything that's relevant to our journey in life has to be right in the sense of scientifically proven. Spiritual development is often based on metaphor and creative thought, which enables us to go deeper. In this case, how do we relate to what we now know about creation and the cosmos? And we will know more and more as every generation passes. So I go back to the original question. How does the wonder of creation speak to you spiritually? Do you feel a wonder and comfort in being small, feeling small? Or do you feel a wonder and connectedness in feeling big? Or you're Unitarian Universalist, so do you feel something entirely different? My friends, let the conversation begin, and let it never end for the eternity of cosmic time. Amen.
Please join in singing hymn number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
Oldie but goodie.
Oh, below me I feel no ocean, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, and the great winds urging me on. Breathe the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Well, thank you, Reverend Jim, and thank you, Trish, and thank you, Sunshine, for joining us today and really shining a bright light on our Sunday. And as we head into fellowship time, please keep these words, "The Stars Are Dancing" by Prakash in your heart. Do not sit alone in the dark while creation sings three-part harmony. Dance, my friends, dance wildly, as the beloved turns your soul to light.
so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great week.